Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm here with my buddy, Ryan Rotty Garcilazo. He is a rehabbing expert, helps other people rehab right, has done more rehabs than probably anybody on the planet, or that I know of at least. And we're excited to talk to you today about really how to build a rehabbing business that minimizes risk, helps kind of maximize your profitability, and helps you build a real business, amongst other things. So, Rotty, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me, dude. Once again, here we are, man. Let's go.
Yeah. It's been a little while, so good to see you. So, hey, before we kind of jump into this, I know you really have helped a lot of folks kind of level up in their business, their rehabbing business specifically. Before we jump into what we're going to talk about on the show today, like just tell us your background and kind of how you got to this point.
So we started off as contractors, rehabbing properties. It was an accident. We didn't know anything about it. I was in my 20s. We didn't know anything about rehabbing or investing or anything. You know, we started working with the hedge funds before that was popular. We were working with like Blackstone and all the millions of companies that they had buying up assets. And being in Chicago, I knew that we were in a big market. So I'm like, well, they got to be buying properties. And every now and then you see like an Invitation Homes van or a Migrant Homes for Rent van or something like that. And I'm like, all right, those are the guys that are probably working on the property management, but I can at least try to get in. Long story short, made some calls, and we found the right person, the director of construction, and I pitched him. I said, hey, man, we are a construction company, and, you know, we I don't know how that's going to work, like how we do. And he's like, all right, well, maybe set a property, and you can give us some bids. It was a cattle club. I never seen anything like it. We go to these houses, there'd be 25 construction companies, like walking these houses at the same time, and one project manager representing one of these companies. It was really a glorified floor installer. Right? You start learning all these things like, does anybody know what's going on here? But anyway, long story short, we got in. We made a name for ourselves within the first 2 years. As you can see, I've got awards everywhere. We did it really well, right? And I took their business model, put it in my business model. We blew up our construction company in a good way. And then I said, there came a point where I realized a lot of our clients that we were for investors just had no, they didn't know what's going on. So I said, well, maybe we could teach it. Maybe we could show them somehow. And we started doing boot camps. We opened up an academy years and years and years ago. When we've been helping investors ever since. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell is we teach investors how to rehab, teach construction solely. And then we help them construction manage assets where it makes sense to. And we do like a co-management type of process.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I've rehabbed several hundred houses in the Dallas market, and I can tell you that I just got really lucky by finding a contractor early, and I've worked with other people early on that was super reliable, super loyal, you know, very honest. It's become one of my best friends in the world, actually, after all these years. But not everybody has that luck. Like a lot of people just assume I'm going to hire somebody and they know how to do everything right. But like you said, I think notoriously there are contractors that they're never going to tell you that they can't do something. They might be a painter and you're like, hey, can you lay tile? Like, oh yeah. You know, like they're always going to tell you that they can do everything because honestly, a lot of those guys are kind of hand to mouth. They want all the work they can get. Right. So, so let's talk about, I know one of the things that you said is one of the biggest challenges is just like minimizing risk. Like a lot of real estate investors, a lot of times, especially newer folks, get into a deal and they end up losing their butt on the first deal because they didn't really know how to manage risk. So let's talk about kind of buying right a little bit, and then also kind of managing risk and making sure you've got some cushion.
Yeah, I always tell people, because I tell people to do things the way I've done them, because I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's a pretty good way to do it. I always say, think of the big five, right? Your MEPs, your roof, your foundation. You have to think of these things logically, because if they're damaged or need repair or replacement, those are high ticket items, which means they're going to cost a little bit more than the average install or the average repair, right? So you got to account for that. Foundations can just be a rabbit hole into other problems. You know, a roof is a roof. You're either going to repair it or you're going to replace it, right? windows. You're either going to, you're not going to really repair them. You're probably going to replace them. So it's usually it's one or the other. But something like a foundation can lead you all the way down to massive, massive problems. It could be drainage
Yeah.
issues. It could be, foundation walls are buckling. It was built on limestone and rocks in 1876. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
We
those
just
things we
did a
always
big
say.
foundation job on one of my rentals. So there's a lot of foundation problems
Oh
here
yeah.
in North Texas, right? So we just did a big foundation job. And just to prove your point, like we knew there's a corner of the house we were lifting quite a bit. It had the plumbing there. So inevitably we're running plumbing tests, and then we find we've got a freshwater leak now. So, right. So you got to deal with those things. So, yeah.
No, and that's the thing that I always say. The risk is that. So that's one. When you're looking at a property, I always tell investors you've got to look at the big five right off the bat. So you have your investor hat on. Quickly, you got to put your contractor hat on. How do you do that? We have to look at how contractors and inspectors would look at the house, not an acquisition manager, because they're still learning that process too. They're more on the salesy side of things, trying to get the deal done. But they're not evaluating it the way they should evaluate it, right? From a construction mindset. Then I tell people all the time, let's look at risk in general. Like draw a circle and do your pie chart. Each pie is a risk. There could be as many risks as your market will let you have. Every market's different, right? Tampa with some hurricanes, we're in Chicago, we don't get hurricanes. We can get some serious windstorms, right? So all of these variables account for your risk. It could be the municipality that you're going to do work in. It could be permitting. It could be the GCs you're working with. It could be change orders that are going to be potential problems. Timelines, budgets, your lack of experience, his lack of experience, their lack of experience. That's a risk, is it not? Right.
Yeah.
So when you look at all these things, the lender could be a risk. Maybe they're practicing the way they process draws is a risk. But ultimately, there are so many risks that if you evaluate them after you walk the property, you determine, hey, I've got $65,000 that I can use on this budget. Okay, to you, is that level one? Is that level two? Is that level three? What is your market? What does your cost per square foot tell you? People are like, I don't even know what the hell you just said. No problem, I'll show you. But that's how you have to put all that package together, right? Is I have to evaluate the risk with a $65,000 budget and then start thinking about other things like what? Weather, time of year, what market are we going to enter, right? How long is this project probably going to take? All these variables are what's going to dictate if 65,000 will ever be relatively close. Because in budget worlds, those are just projections. They're not accurate until the project's done. Schedules, they're just projections. They're not accurate until the project's done. And then you go back and evaluate how off were you and can you control us on the next one?
Yeah. I would say probably one of the mistakes of new and newer real estate investors, and maybe even some veteran ones, is you kind of, there's a lot of pressure on doing deal volume, right? Like everybody wants to make the deals work. Even if you have a larger business and you have an acquisitions manager, like they're like, yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Like everybody wants to get paid. And so they start to overlook little things that can add up to big things, right?
100%.
And they start to, the tie always goes to like if the tie goes to the runner, right? It's like the tie goes to making the deal work, like on paper, but it may not ultimately.
And the other thing is, I'll tell you this, but I say it all the time, right? I can act when I train people and work with people, I act as if I'm your contract. So I'll ask you questions that I actually need answers to if I'm not getting clarity from it. Or I'll challenge you and say, Mike, did you even see what the basement looks like? Did you even see what the roof looks like? Oh, no, I was in a rush, but I'll look at the pictures. I'm like, is the pictures going to show you every fucking leak? No. You need to go see that and breathe the mold. Like you have to touch it to understand the impact of it. And that's the idea, is to get the aha moments. The more aha moments means you're actually learning, right?
Yeah.
So that's the key. But this is a do business. We do it like this. Teach it, see it, learn it, do it. You have to do it. This isn't practicals. You have to get out there and make a mistake and make them fast. And yes, they're going to cost you money. That's the way it is.
So let's talk a little bit about the whole idea of budgeting. Like a lot of real estate investors, they just take whatever their contractor gives them, but they don't really have their own budgeting process, right? So let's talk about the importance of that.
Well, okay. So one cool thing is I built Rotty AI last summer. And what I mean by that is we built our own AI named Rotty AI, but I uploaded every manual I've ever written, every book I've ever written. I've uploaded every boot camp PowerPoint I've ever written. I've uploaded 36 different scopes and budgets from various projects we've done over the years to feed my AI, right? And we continuously do that. And I continuously go into my AI and ask myself questions. So I'll say, hey, and this is where budgets come in. because we put in so much information into our AI that I now ask myself to give me a budget. That's how good it is, because
Mm.
it's still my number. So why the hell am I going to work twice as hard when I've already put it in? So
Yeah.
I will literally be specific and say, I need a level 2 rehab scope and budget breakdown for a single family home, 3-2 in Dallas, Texas, um, with a non-permitted addition and irrigation system. And then and I'm done. I copy and paste it in the Word and we go. So it breaks it down into different levels. Level 1 could be this, level 2 could be this, level 3 could be this, so that you can make a decision on where you need to be, right?
Mm.
It's fucking incredible. So the
Yeah.
ideas of not being able to create a budget, to me, doesn't exist anymore, because
Yeah.
AI is so powerful. And we've been building it, and every day I put more content into it. We built this 140-page checklist. I uploaded it into my AI not too long ago, and now I could just rip information when I'm like, hey, I need a checklist on a 10-point punch list for a single-family kitchen that's less than 400 square feet. Boom, done. It's my information. So I don't see an issue with creating budgets anymore. No, every rookie should be able to create a budget now,
Yeah.
because AI is that powerful.
That's
We've looked
amazing.
up everything. You got legal AI for administrative functions to help write contracts. You've got blueprint AI. You could actually upload blueprints and it'll start helping you with takeoff of material costs. Like, there is so much out there now to
Yeah.
help you. But the other thing is, you still have to understand, like, you can use AI for 9 different things, but Mike still has to be the person to connect all 9
Yeah,
and
for sure.
understand all 9 and know the progression of all 9. And then, of course, deal with people like me.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. How do you make those connections with, because a lot of so like, we've looked at tens of thousands of houses and flipped hundreds here.
Yeah.
And, started with a checklist. We got like a 1-page checklist, like how many doors you need to replace, how many medium-sized windows, how many large windows, like what kind of appliances, right?
Right.
Is it a medium level package or a high level package,
Right.
right? Stuff like
Right.
that, a checklist. Then it evolved into more tech, like you're taking an iPad out and you're filling in a form essentially. And now it's AI, where I don't know
Yeah.
the details of your AI, but you might just be talking to the AI as you're walking through the house to say, here's what I see and here's what I need, right? Which is pretty
Right.
amazing. So, but
Right.
how do you sync that up with your contractors that, don't even have business cards yet?
Well, one thing that we've always done, and we also teach this, is we award contracts. So I'm not looking for bids. I haven't looked for bids in years. So I'm the one putting the numbers together for our company. I'm putting the numbers together for the Mike Hambrights of the world. And I'll say, hey, here's a scope of work. Maybe we've collaborated. Maybe you kind of gave me a summary of what you want to do in the project. Maybe you even provided a scope of work, and then I'll put that in my AI and say, I need a scope of work for a level 2 based off this, but mine will also add things you didn't consider, right? So if you gave me 10 things, I might give you 25 back, right? And say, hey, did you think about these? And is this going to impact your project? And then you might go, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. I'm like, cool. Well, AI did that for you because all of our information that we've been used to putting in.
Yeah.
So we put the bids together, we put the budgets together, we put the scopes together, and then we feed that to our crews, right?
Mm.
But a lot of our crews that we've worked with, especially here in Chicagoland, work under our umbrella have for years. So our process is a little more lax because we know how to work together, and that takes time. But I'll literally say, okay, dude, I'll text a guy. I was actually texting some guy when we were logging in now. I said, one of my guys, he's like, I have some questions at this house. I'm like, cool, I'll be there. It's only about 20 minutes from my house. I'm like, I'll be there when I'm done with this call. And I told him, I said, if you have any questions, just tell me right now. He's like, I have a couple questions on the bathroom. I'm like, is there anything that you need? I said, give me your questions in a list format. He's doing that. I can see the dots. He's texting right now. I'm literally going to, whatever he's going to send me, I'm going to copy it and put it in my AI, get the response, and text it back.
Yeah.
That's how I communicate with my teams, because I know it's going to be more specific, and I translate it into Spanish so we can't miss.
That's great. Yeah. There's a few, I know a number of people now that have created AI clones of themselves. I know you said you did it, you asked yourself, but I don't know if you've given it to your team. Like, hey, just go ask kind of me, the AI version of me.
All my
these
students,
questions.
all my clients get our AI for free. I'm like, just use this. And it's funny because and that's why our program that we do can be done in 30 days, because half of it, I'm like, don't worry about waiting for me on this live call. You could ask my AI for half the shit you need right now. I'll just walk you through it verbally. But
Right.
it's a very cool way that we utilize AI in our training and management. Like, it's all inclusive, which is kind of crazy to think about for the first time. But the AI has really changed our business and the way we operate from the construction side and the education side, because it expedites everything. And we could, like you said, we could share it with anybody we want to share it with. And that expedites a lot of time, and it gets you as much detailed, specific information as you need.
Yeah.
I think the big thing for people is learning prompts, right? Trying to ask the best possible question possible.
Yeah.
And sometimes people get vague and you get a vague answer. But if you
Right.
get real dialed in, and to do that, you got to know a little thing or two about what the topic you're trying to figure out. But the more dialed in you are on the topic, the better response you're going to get.
Yeah, not to go down the AI rabbit hole, but I've been using it a fair bit lately, and I'm creating an agreement right now for a new program I have, and literally I was just working on it literally like till 2 minutes before we started the show, but I just kept I kind of learned early, I don't know where I learned this from, I heard somebody else say it, but it's like I just keep asking like, what other questions do you have? What other information do you need for me to make this perfect? Instead of me just saying, here's some stuff, go create it. I'm like, well, here's some stuff, and what else do you need? And it inevitably keeps coming back with questions, and usually I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. I forgot about that, or so it's amazing. But anyway, that we could talk about AI on another show. So let's talk about kind of hiring, right? Like you have your own crews, but there's a lot of people that don't. Like if you're a new or newer real estate investor, they're inevitably, going out to find people that they don't know yet. And one of the things that I learned early on, this is why I tried to ramp up my volume quickly, is I need to be important to my contractors and they need to be important to me. And we have this kind of, do enough volume to where they don't care about me because they're looking for the next job, instead of working just for me. Not everybody's in that position, and most will never be in that position. But for those that need, either a general contractor or they need a HVAC company or whatever, talk about kind of hiring right. Like, how do people find the right folks?
Well, I think what's funny, and ironically enough, I'm going to record you because you're my guy. But no, honestly, people are always talking about how to hire contractors. It's the same difference as you and your wife saying, we've never been to the city before. Where should we eat? Right? What do? You ask for recommendations. It's logical.
Right.
What I always tell people is talk to your local agents, right, who might be using that. A lot of real estate agents, it sounds so like cliche, but it's obvious. Like there is no science to hiring contractors. They're everywhere. Like open your fucking eyes. They're everywhere. Yeah. You can go shopping at Home Depot for contractors. Like they're everywhere, right? It's about how you approach them and how you actually discuss things with them. I always tell a rookie, I'm like, do you know the type of contractor you use? Because first and foremost, a general contractor doesn't mean that they do everything. They can just be a general contractor of drywall, taping, and mudding, paint, right? So painting and drywall, that's two different trades. Sometimes they could do both, right? They learn how to do both, but they're really two different trades. So when you look at the general contractors, you can sit there and say, hey, you have your business card, go walk into a parking lot, introduce yourself. You can go on Google now. Everybody's flipped a house these days. There's not a country that doesn't know what rehab is, right? This is in 2008. So it's not that difficult. What's difficult is the individual asking and making it difficult. If I'm a contractor, Mike, you see me. Let's say I'm a referral from one of your agents, right? And you're like, hey, I need another country, but like closer to this zip code. Do you got anybody? Yeah, you know what? I never worked with Roddy, but I heard about Roddy and know another guy that works. So here's the number. Give him a call. It's what we discuss in that phone call that's going to lead to, are we going to actually walk a property together, right? The vetting process happens in the first conversation because you need to build rapport, right? If you're talking to me for the first time and I sound like I'm not interested, if I sound like I'm completely busy, if I sound like a fucking idiot, like I can't even have a conversation, those are red flags. Forget about it. Thanks for your time, whatever. But if I'm like, yeah, man, I'm like, we do rehabs, familiar with them, and you're like, you've got to ask really good questions. One, are you familiar with rehabbing and understanding how investments work and lending works? Great start off. Because if it's a yes, then I understand what hard money is. I understand what private money is. I understand the fucking delays on money, period. Right? That's what I'm telling you is I know how shitty this business can be. Then the next kind of questions is, okay, cool. Like, what's your wheelhouse? Are you familiar with projects at like 50,000, 100,000? Do you have a preference? Right? And I'll say, we prefer to stay at 50 or under, or we don't have a preference. We can do full gut renovations all day long. I've got the manpower. Or no, I don't have the manpower. I prefer to stay small. Really, I'm more like a rental kind of guy. All that is we're building rapport. We're vibing. So you're in your mind classifying where you can use me. Maybe it's not the project you had in mind, but you know that you also do small rentals. You're like, but I can probably use them on a rental. Cool. So you're the one vetting with the right questions, and those questions aren't bad. And then the final question is very simple. what's the current or last project you've been working on? Send me an address, because if it's a flip, it's on the market. It's not hard to find, right? So I just say, oh, I did 123 Madison Street in Skokie. You can Google that and see the listing. Be like, cool. You pull it up and look at pictures yourself. Then you have more to talk to me about. Like, oh, you did this kitchen? Was that granite or quartz? I can't tell. You know, are those hardwoods? Is that bamboo? What is that? You know, all day long now we can have a conversation. But the first thing you do is when you ask for a referral, is you try to engage the contractor and really try to have a simple conversation. If you can't do that, that is not your guy. Now you're going to meet a lot of guys that are not as clean spoken as I am, right? Now I'm like this with my professional peers on the streets and in the field. I am not like this, as you can imagine. I got to tell these guys what the fuck it is, what the fuck it's not. So that's a different perspective. If those guys can duly do what I can do, what we're doing here, that's also huge for you, because that means that you guys can really talk business. He's going to understand where you want to go, how he could possibly help you achieve that. You should equally want to help me grow, so that we don't have turnover. Yeah. And then you let me go do what I got to do on the field, so that you don't have to worry about that, because that's not what you do. That's not Mike's personality. Mike doesn't like that. He'd rather have Ronnie do that.
Yeah, that's great, man.
So you got to really think about the engagement process. It's not about where do I find them. They're everywhere. You can find a landscaper 3 houses down from your house where your neighbors get his land cut. Go talk to them. What are you going to say? How are you going to talk to them?
Yep. Yeah. I guess it's a red flag if your contractor is not asking you good questions too. Like if they're willing to take your money no matter what, like that's probably a red flag. Like they should be a little bit screening you out too, to see if they want to work with you at the end of the day.
Very rarely, and I'll admit this, very rarely are there guys like me that we'll take a contract like this over a call. I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it, but because of our reputation, you already want to work with me, and you're happy that we took the call. There's very few guys out there that I've ever met where you can have that kind of trust and transparency. It's like, I know we can figure this out later. I just want to get your commitment. Are you in? Yeah, I'm in. All right, cool. Let's set up a call for tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? We close more deals without even seeing a deal because of what we've created, which is a blessing, but also a curse, because I don't say yes to everything anymore. I'm like, no. I got to see this shit, because I don't want to argue with you either. I got things to do. But, you know, that's the other thing, is when you are engaging the contractors correctly, they should be forthcoming with good questions. They should ask you questions like, well, you know, what are your goals? How many properties do you do? Do you just do it in this area? Are you all over Dallas? Like, I'd ask questions that to me, that's just normal. Like, you know, because even now when I bring in people to like our program or we do construction management, I ask those questions. I'm like, so how many rehabs have you done in your career? Like, I'm trying to gauge you. Like, what is your experience level? Where do you flip? Are you just local, or do you have a certain 2 markets you like? Are you like in Ohio and Chicago, Milwaukee and Chicago? Like, what do you do? So I'm always asking those questions, because it also helps me understand the type of client that I'm going to be working with.
Cool, man. Let's talk a little bit about this idea of kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like, a lot of real estate investors are, you know, asset rich and cash poor. And sometimes they start projects and they get into a bind and they've got to finish one of them and they start moving around. Let's talk about this a bit.
You'll see oftentimes, I've seen it a million times, where somebody says, project A got funded, I don't know, 10K on a draw. And then there's a delay on project A. So like, you know what, use it on project B. Okay, use it on project B. And then all of a sudden, project A is back on the whatever, no more delay, right? Project A, I'm like, well, we still need money for project A to keep it moving. We already gave you a draw for project A. I'm like, all right, so you want me to go take project C's money, you get back to project A? Plus or plus. That's what that is. It happens all day, every day across the country. Then the finger pointing begins and fiduciary duty, and it's your fault and your fault. It's like, no, it's everybody's fault for agreeing to just do that. But ultimately, the risk was not assessed the moment you were taking the deal down to see if that was going to be a problem. What were the delays for? What were the change orders for? What caused the reason for this process to begin? We're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? So that comes down to risk. Like, is that going to be a risk that we're going to face because I've got multiple projects at once or something like that? Or I've got, I don't know, 3 houses closing within 4 weeks of each other, which more likely it means you're going to be starting all of them simultaneously the following month, right? So you have to look at all of that. And some people they get so excited about, oh my God, I'm going to close. I'm with you. Great, cool. But now the real shit begins. Now the shit show begins. You know, and that's where the risk wasn't evaluated. So the whole idea of robbing Peter to pay Paul, I don't see it going anywhere, because you have to cash flow rehabs. Rehabbing needs cash flow, and it's not. I don't like hard money lenders. I tell every one of them all the time. I'm like, I don't like you guys. You guys are full of shit, and you ruined construction. Because you have to understand, like my guys right now are texting me like, hey, I need to go to the store because I'm buying materials specifically for this project. He's texting me saying I need to get more money. No problem. But it's because I control the materials that I can do that, right? If I'm not controlling materials and he is, and I can't get him a draw because the lender says I need to see progress, of course it's going to sit. We're not coming out of pocket anymore. The construction game is too smart for that. We're not coming out of pocket to save the investor.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're the ones that get screwed now. You're seeing more and more liens go out left and right, more than you've ever seen. And you're going to continue seeing liens from the contractors. They're not stupid anymore. They're not threatening you like, oh, we'll win you like they all do. They're doing it.
Yeah.
When you start seeing that letter of intent hit your mail, it's on. And now they could sit for 2 years. You got to come up with a plan. So you have to understand that all of that risk has to be analyzed day one, not week 10, day one.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
That makes sense? Is that too much info?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's good. Yeah. A lot of it's just kind of planning and like you said, back to having a budget, having a clear scope of work, like having all these things kind of lined up before you even start.
Things are going to happen, man. Contractors get sick. I've had my guys have heart attacks. I can't use them anymore. Not that I want to, but I'm like, I can't use you anymore. Dude, this is too stressful for you as it is. Go take care of your life. I'll see you when I see you. Then what happens if I gave that guy 10 grand and now he has a heart attack? That money's gone. Right now, I've got to borrow it from another job site. It goes both ways. It goes both ways in construction and investing because everybody's just trying to get projects done. Everybody wants to advance the ball of the field. It's a nasty game. It's a nasty game.
So, Rotty, I know you work with a lot of people if they're already rehabbing and they just don't have their processes dialed in, or if they're new or newer and they're trying to kind of get started and make sure they don't lose their butt on their first deal. Like, how do folks learn more about you? I know you have a program to help people. How do folks learn more?
So you can go to rehabdepot.com. Pretty easy. But I'm all over social, man. It's pretty easy to find. I'm on social media. On Facebook, Ryan Rotty Garcilazo. I also have a page called Rotty. I got another page called the Rehab Depot. On Instagram, it's the Real Rotty G. And TikTok, I think it's Rotty Flips Houses. I can't remember. But it's so easy to find me.
Cool.
We'll add a link type in Rotty, and all you're going to see is either a picture of me or a bunch of dogs.
Yeah. Cool. We'll add links down below for everything, 100%. So we'll make sure they find you. So good to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining us today.
I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. Everybody, if you're thanks for joining us on the show today, by the way. If you're just getting started in rehabbing, or if you've done several deals and you feel like you don't have your systems dialed in, you definitely should check out Rotty and learn more about them. At the end of the day, like, this is a business that you want to last forever, right? So, you got to win the war. Like, if the individual battles are kind of beating you up, you're never going to win the war. So learn how to be better at the battles, and you can win the long-term war. So appreciate you guys a bunch. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.